I'm gonna steal an Ask Gare idea. Here is my review of Sponge on the Run in 10 words or less. If this was in season 5, it would feel normal.
Every time I'm in the street, I hit man down. Where you from? Who you know? Where you from?
Hey guys, you want a story? I'll give you a story, a ninja story. Welcome back to the Ninja Story, and today I'm going to be reviewing the third movie in the SpongeBob trilogy, or the SpongeBob movie trilogy. That is Sponge on the Run. Now, this is not out in America yet, but I used hacks to watch this movie early, so I got to watch it, and I'm gonna review it for you now. So, pretty much the plot of this movie is that Gary, who is SpongeBob's pet snail, gets kidnapped, and SpongeBob and Patrick have to go on an adventure to save him and bring him back to Bikini Bottom. Now, that is the simplified version. I'm not going to give away spoilers, so this is just a spoiler free. Remember, this is just a spoiler free review because this movie is not out in America, like, officially yet, so don't worry. This is not going to be any filled with spoilers, just so you know now. The first thing I want to give praises for, no matter what, I've seen people talk about how they don't like this movie, I've seen people say that it's okay, and I've seen people say it's a really good movie, but no matter what, everyone has praised the animation. And I gotta be real, it is really, really fluid. I'm not a huge fan of the CGI animation, like I'd rather prefer a traditional kind of 2D animation, but the 3D looks fantastic. I mean, there are so many scenes where they use it to its fullest potential, and they did really good with the animation. Also, I thought that celebrity cameos that they got in the movie worked really well with the story that they were telling. So, for example, in the trailer, you see Keanu Reeves in this movie, and obviously he's a tumbleweed, and he actually gives like pretty good advice. He's kind of their guardian angel per se for SpongeBob and Patrick throughout the adventure, and it works really well. He was pretty necessary in the movie. I can't lie. Also, Snoop Dogg at some point is in this movie. So if you really like Snoop Dogg, then you get a Snoop Dogg song. There you go. Um, and also just the characters and just the essence and the Easter eggs and just the SpongeBob. I guess the SpongeBob feeling is there. Like watching the show, you could definitely feel the characters. You could definitely feel the atmosphere of a SpongeBob episode just with an extended runtime, and it works really well. Also, we've already had an episode of Gary going missing in SpongeBob. Obviously, have you seen the snail? And I like how this movie didn't really just copy off of that. It made it tried new ways to tell the same story that they've already told before, but just, add a little bit more twists and turns, add a little bit more surprises, a little bit more to do than just the same thing again. And I gotta commend them because that is an hour long. And this is about like an hour and 20 minutes. So you only have 20 extra minutes, technically, if you want to do the same thing like space it out. And they really did it well. I was surprised. It actually felt original at points. Now, where this movie falls apart, this is not a perfect movie, not at all. Where this movie falls apart is the segments with Camp Coral. Now, if you don't know, the creator of SpongeBob, Steven Hillenburg, was really against spin-offs for SpongeBob. He just wanted the movies and he just wanted the actual show to just keep running. Um, and when he passed away, Steven Hillenburg, Nickelodeon decided, you know what, we're just going to make a bunch of spin-offs for this show. So they kind of went against him, and that's kind of messed up. But aside all that, we got some segments or just little bits and pieces of the new SpongeBob spin-off, Camp Coral. Now, this is pretty much going to be like Young Years or like Muppet Babies, if you remember that. That it's gonna be that for SpongeBob. So, and it's gonna take place in summer camp. So you're just gonna get very young SpongeBob, very just young characters. And I was watching and I was like, This doesn't work as well. One, the voice acting for these segments is not the greatest at all. It's really not good. I mean, it just sounds really fake and really, like very manufactured rather than sounding genuine. Just like reading a script instead of reading the script with adding emotion and levity to it. They're just reading the lines just off the page while doing an impression or just doing a voice. It doesn't really feel like they're adding emotion to it. And I know it's kids, but other shows, even the cartoon show, even other Nicktoons like Hey Arnold, Fairly Odd Parents, a bunch of these shows that do voice acting and movies that do voice acting, they're really able to convey the emotion. Here, I just don't feel the emotion at all. And maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. But personally, I don't feel it. Also, this Camp Coral thing is gonna break so much continuity in the show. And I know SpongeBob doesn't follow continuity. It pick and chooses what it wants to follow. But I can't get over it because one of the segments includes SpongeBob meeting Sandy for the first time, and I'm sorry if this is a spoiler, but you knew it was Camp Coral is in this. It features SpongeBob meeting Sandy for the first time, and either they're talking, they're laughing together, and it breaks the continuity of the Sandy pilot episode. So one of your first episodes don't even matter anymore. Plus, Mr. Krabs gets a segment, and that just breaks the friend or foe continuity, and just it didn't work for me personally. Here's the best way to describe it: the Camp Coral segments felt like a backdoor pilot, and if you don't know what that is like the Lost Sister episode of Stranger Things, the 11 based episode. It's like a episode of a show or a segment in a movie that's setting up a different universe, or not a different universe, but like a spin-off of a already successful franchise. So I'm just going to use Stranger Things as an example. So we have Stranger Things, one of the most popular Netflix show, right? And then in season 2, you have the Lost Sister episode. At the end of episode 6, the Demogorgons, they're finally starting to come out. It's this big epic finale. They're finally coming out, and then episode 7 starts. You press next episode, and it just shows Eleven walking down the street. She's meeting a gang for the first time. Gang warfare, beating up bad men or whatever. It didn't feel like Stranger Things anymore. It felt like a completely different episode or a completely different show that wasn't even Stranger Things anymore. And that's what this felt like. It didn't feel like SpongeBob. It felt like Camp Coral. And I know it's related to SpongeBob, but I really should be like the SpongeBob spin-off Camp Coral, but I just feel like Camp Coral. SpongeBob Young Years or something like that is not SpongeBob anymore. Also, without naming spoilers, the payoff in this movie, for me, is super underwhelming. And I mean super underwhelming. It just kind of felt like it came out of nowhere, to me at least, and it didn't work for me personally. If it worked for you, good. If you've seen the movie, good for you. And you like the ending, good for you. For me, I don't know. It just didn't work as well as I thought it would. And I can say that I definitely didn't see it coming. But at the same time, I don't want to remember it. But the biggest problems, I haven't even gotten into the biggest problems. The 3 biggest problems with this movie is the comedy, the villain, in quotations, and the pacing. The comedy just doesn't hit most of the time. There is funny jokes. There are funny jokes. There's a joke in the movie where SpongeBob makes fun of Squidward at the near the end of the movie, and it works really well. But just a lot of the comedy kind of it was just jokes that they were trying, and you're just kind of sitting there, just like keep watching, and you don't even acknowledge that there was a joke. You just think of it as just regular dialogue, and a joke should be like, ha 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 ha, just like breaking that, like, a joke should break the, it should break the feeling. So let's say, for example, you're watching, I don't know, a comedy. Right. Let's say you're watching, I don't know, what's a good comedy? I don't know, Ace Ventura. Let's go with that. Let's say you're watching Ace Ventura, let's say you're really invested in the story, right? So you're watching it, and then a joke pops up that's really funny, so you laugh, and then you go back to it. And then, like, you're invested, you hear a funny joke, you go, ha. Or however you laugh. You go, heh! Or you go, heh! Or whatever. Um, in this, when a joke happens, you don't even make a sound. You just continue watching. It just didn't land. Most of the jokes in the movie just didn't land for me personally. And I know a lot of people might differ, but personally, I didn't really laugh at this movie that much. Also, like I said, the villain is they missed an opportunity. They could have done something with the villain. And I'm not going to say what, but I'm just going to say you could have used a different character from your show as the villain in this movie, but they didn't. Um they make up a completely new character, and it didn't work, and I didn't care at all for him. I didn't care at all. And also the pacing is all over the place. It goes really slow at points, it goes really fast pace, and then you have the long drawn out SpongeBob and Patrick in a car driving for like 10 minutes just talking. And it breaks it just breaks a lot of things. And there's a whole, and I'm sorry if this is a spoiler, but there's a whole like dream sequence in the movie that lasts like 20 minutes, and it goes nowhere. It goes nowhere. It goes nowhere. All they do in that dream is meet Keanu Reeves. That's it. And it goes nowhere from there. So maybe it's not even a dream because they got stuff out of the dream. So that dream was just there to promote Snoop Dogg, dude. Like, it didn't really lead to anything. It was just there as like a, hey, this is a road trip movie. By the way, this does not feel like a Sponge on the Run movie. This felt like, cuz I was making sure they got to their destination in 40 minutes. And this movie is like an hour and 20 minutes. So halfway through this movie, they got there already. And they spent 40 minutes lollygagging. You hear that, right? You hear it. Um, this this feels like a SpongeBob movie. It doesn't not feel like a SpongeBob movie. There's some good jokes. Animation is fantastic. Uh, I like the story in the movie. The lesson at the end is okay, but the camp choral stuff, the rest of the comedy, the pacing, the villain, and also the who is this movie targeted for? Because it feels like a family movie, but then you got SpongeBob and Patrick going to casinos, and they really kind of said a, not a bad word, but like a word that if a child heard that and started saying it, they would probably get soap in their mouth. And I watch this with captions, so I know. It just, I don't know. It didn't work for me. It it wasn't a bad movie. I definitely enjoyed myself. It was. I'm not saying this is a bad movie at all. It just, they could have done so much more. And for the third one in this trilogy, it just didn't work for me. I'm gonna give SpongeBob, Sponge on the Run, a C. Again, animation is beautiful, and the story is good, but just everything else is just, well, not everything else, but a lot of like the key things about a SpongeBob movie, the comedy, the villain, like like the everything else, it fell apart. It fell apart. They could have done so much more, in my opinion. The story is good, animation, but what can you do? Anyways, thank you guys for watching. What did you guys think of Sponge on the Run? If you saw it, let me know in the comments down below. I'm actually going to be doing more reviews. I'm going to start watching movies again. So I'm going to do this review, the Victorious one, the Victorious Top 10, hopefully next week, but we'll see. Maybe the week after. Maybe I might post it on Thanksgiving or Black Friday. New Mutants, I'm going to review. I'm probably watching it today, so hopefully review today or tomorrow. So you might get 2 videos in one day. Ooh. Um, but yeah, and Mulan too. I'm gonna watch Mulan, and you know what? I might watch Freaky too. So expect a lot of movie reviews. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And remember, the story is always right. Adios.